there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Raquel Teaches Web Development. My name is Raquel, and today I'm going to be teaching you about HTML iframes and how to use them to embed content from other websites. So let's hop right into it. Let me switch to my code editor. And so iframes are a way that HTML gives us to be able to embed content from other websites. And so what I mean by that is you can embed content. For instance, you can display a complete other web page within your own web page, or you can display content provided by other websites on your web page so that visitors to your web page can see other content that you want to share without having to leave your website. All right, so I'm going to show the two typical ways that iframes are used, okay? And so iframes are embedded, or content is embedded using the iframes tag, okay? So let me show you what that looks like. So the iframe tag does have an opening and closing, right? So in our good practice, we like to, just always put the opening and closing tag, okay? And it does have two attributes. First one is required. Second one is not required, but is definitely recommended. So the first one is the source attribute, or the SRC. And you do that, you establish that by typing the word SRC equals sign and a set of double quotes. The other attribute is the title, okay? And it's exactly that's a title for the iframe. So once you have this written out, the element tag, the iframe tag with the source attribute and the title attribute, then you can go ahead and fill in what it is that you want to display. Okay. So for my first example, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be displaying another website on the page. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm like slurring my words. I'm going to switch to the browser, and I'm going to be embedding my business website, which is Web Code Designer, right? So what you want to do is when you want to embed a website, you always want to make sure you go to that website first and just go ahead and copy its URL from the address bar in the browser. All right. That way you can be sure that you're copying the correct URL and that it'll actually work when you do it. All right. So switching back to the code editor here, I'm just going to go ahead and paste that URL into the source attribute portion of the tag, right? So I'm just going to paste that there. And then I can just add text that I want to be set as the title. So I'm just going to put Web Code Designer. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Save. Okay. And now what should happen is that when I switch to the browser and refresh that page, I should be able to see that website embedded on the page. So let's go ahead and switch to the browser and see what that looks like. Switch back to that page here. So it was blank when I first created the page, of course. So let's refresh and see what happens. And there is something there. Now, I wonder if we can't see it all because maybe we can't scroll. Okay. Or maybe it took a minute. Let me refresh that one more time to be sure. Okay. So it looks like it just took a second to display the iframe, but there it is. And so you see that it shows a smaller box on the page with the website embedded, and even has scrolling arrows you can see. So one of the things about iframes is that it has a default smaller size, and that size can be changed. Okay. And I believe it's with CSS that you can do it. But there are ways to play around with this so that you can set how big you want the actual frame to be within the page that's embedded on and what you want it to display. But that is how the iframe works for displaying a website. And actually, wait, let's go ahead and just experiment because I can't remember if it is CSS or if it's just the width attribute. So let me see. Let me switch to the code editor. And this is live. This is why I'm not always prepared with all my notes. And I haven't used an iframe in a long time, so I don't remember. I believe, actually, I don't think you need CSS. I think you can just set the width. Let's do width equals, I don't know, 25%. let's see. And that's a relative measurement because I just want it to be 25% of the page, which it may already be, but let's see what that looks like. Because we don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so it did change the size. All right, so if I want it to be the full width of the page, I can go ahead and do that, right? So let's just switch back to this code editor. I mean, I'm not going to make it 100%, but let's make it like 80% and see what that looks like. All right, so I'm going to, instead of 25, that's going to be 80%, right? And as far as I remember, I think you can set the height of it as well. So let's do this. Let's switch back to the browser. Let's refresh. All right, so that definitely changed the width of it. And I am pretty certain that if we go back to the code editor and set the height for this thing, we can change that. Whoops, we can change that as well. So for height, let's go ahead and set that to like, I don't know, 800 pixels. Let's save those changes. Switching back to the browser. Let's go ahead and see what happens there. Okay, beautiful. And so, okay, I was right. So when it comes to additional attributes for the code for iframes, ooh, wait a minute. I don't think you guys can see all of that. By the way, I'm going to be including the code for this. Let me see if I can move this over. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm going to be including the code for this. See, this looks very small, so I apologize, but I will be including the code for this on my website. So I will be including a link for you to access the code to do this, and you can copy and experiment with it yourself. But this is one way, this is one of the common ways that iframes are used to embed content. Now, depending on what that content is, it may not be best for you to embed it in that way. So you may want to talk to your client or to your employer to see what the goal is for sharing that information and what might be a better way to do that. But sometimes embedding is the best way. All right. So displaying another website is one of the reasons why people may want to use an iframe. Another one, a very common one, is to embed videos, namely one of the most popular ones, of course, where you're watching me is YouTube, right? So YouTube does provide, for those creators that allow it, they provide a way for people to embed YouTube videos on their website so people can watch a YouTube video without having to leave the website. So I'm going to, excuse me, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. Oh, that was so gross. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and switch to the browser, because what I'm going to do first is show you how you can get iframe code from a YouTube video and then embed that on a website. So let's go ahead and switch to the browser. I'm going to close out of Web Code Designer here, and I'm going to go to this. So first of all, I like food, and I picked this because I actually made a Mississippi pot roast the other day and it turned out very well. It was not this recipe, but however, I tried to embed the one I did use, and that creator did not allow embedding. So I had to do the next best thing and find one that did allow embedding, and this fit the bill. So when you are on YouTube, you want to embed a video, the way you can get the code, the iframe code to embed it, is by doing the following. You're going to go below the video and you're going to go to the option that says share. And when it does that, the first option that comes up in that pop-up window is embed. When you click on the embed option, you will see over here to the right, it provides an iframe code. Okay. And it has some other options here where if you want to actually have the video start at a certain point in time, you can set that and the iframe code will update automatically to do that. But this is not what that lesson is about. This lesson is not about that. This lesson is about embedding. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and get this code. So this is the way you do it. You just go ahead and you select it, or you can just use this copy option over here. And now that iframe code is copied to your clipboard. And you can use that and paste it into your code to embed it. So I'm going to embed this recipe video and we're going to see what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the code editor, and I'm just going to make another iframe here. So I'm going to put it above that. So let's just move that down a notch. I'm going to add another iframe here. Oops, actually, I don't even need to type iframe, right? Because the code already has the iframe tag in it. So I can just paste, and that iframe code is in there, right? And I can just save. And you will notice that there are other attributes there that for example, that I haven't included in my first example, but there are lots of other attributes. But again, most people, when they're embedding, don't need all that stuff. Most people will go ahead and set the height and width, and of course the source and the title. Okay, so I pasted that code in there. Let's go ahead now and switch back to the browser. And let's refresh and see what that looks like. So the recipe, the embedded recipe video should be above this web code designer embed. So let's refresh. And voila, it's there. Okay, it's there. And if I want to watch that video, I could just hit play and it starts to play, just as if I was on YouTube. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's how iframes work. You can use iframe code to embed content from other websites, whether that's embedding the entire website itself, as I did in the example, the bottom half of the page, or embedding something like a YouTube video. And just keep in mind that YouTube is not the only content provider that provides iframes. So you may come across other websites that allow you to do that. And so when they say that you can copy iframe code, that's what they're talking about. They're providing the code for you already written that you just copy and paste and display their content on your website. But that's it. That's how easy it is to embed content on your website using the iframe element. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you know anyone that might find it helpful, please go ahead and share it with them. And if you'd like to be notified when new videos are added to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and I would really appreciate it. So thanks again for taking the time to check in. Have a great rest of your day and God bless.